this is good. I like this. Hold on, Violet. Today I'm going to tell you about my favorite Book of Mormon story. The reason it's my favorite is because I had a very powerful moment when I first encountered the story, the first time I read the Book of Mormon. It was over 5 years ago that I first read the Book of Mormon. About 5.5 years ago, actually. I grew up a member of the church. I had read scriptures here and there, but I had never tried to read the Book of Mormon from cover to cover. If you haven't read the entire Book of Mormon, I highly suggest the experience. Very powerful. The language is a little bit hard at first. As you read it, you start to comprehend better. Reading becomes more enjoyable and less difficult. I have gone back and read the Book of Mormon several times since the first time. As I was reading for the first time, I was shocked at how many stories in the Book of Mormon that I was completely unfamiliar with. They don't tell you all the stories in church. And that's not really the purpose of church, to go and have them teach you everything that's in the book. Church is supposed to be a complement to the learning that you do on your own. So again, even if you've been a lifelong member and never read this book, I suggest you read it cover to cover. It's a game changer. It felt like I was discovering treasure. This new world was opening up to me. It was exciting to learn new stories. One such story, which had probably been taught to me in Sunday school, but that just never stuck with me, was the story of the Anti-Nephi-Lehis. This is all indexed. The entirety of the Book of Mormon is right here. At the very heart of the Book of Mormon, very middle of it, is the story of the Anti-Nephi-Lehis. I don't think that that's a coincidence. I think that the story of the Anti-Nephi-Lehis is really, really important. I think Mormon, the guy who abridged the Book of Mormon, put that story in the middle for a reason. I think it's at the heart because it is the heart. We should be like the Anti-Nephi-Lehis. Connected to the Anti-Nephi-Lehis is the Book of Mormon's most powerful story, in my humble opinion. So let's go back to 5 years ago when I'm reading this book for the very first time. I'm about halfway through. I'm reading about how the Lamanites are a warmongering, bloodthirsty, idolatrous people, pretty entitled people. They would get angry really, really easily. A missionary named Ammon goes to these Lamanites and teaches them. Because of Ammon's teachings and some other events, these Lamanites have a very powerful conversion. More about that story in a later video. And they decide to rename themselves. They're no longer Lamanites. They want to be referred to as Anti-Nephi-Lehis, which is a strange name, but anti is a proper name. There's a guy named Anti-Nephi-Lehi, and they decide to call themselves after his name. Anyway, so this powerful conversion happens, and they still live in Lamanite territory. And the other Lamanites who didn't convert are really, really angry, doing what Lamanites do, deciding to go to war against the Anti-Nephi-Lehis. And the Anti-Nephi-Lehis counsel together to decide, what are we gonna do? And they decide not to fight. They decide to bury their weapons deep into the ground and covenant with God, promising that they will never shed blood again. The Lamanites come against them. The Anti-Nephi-Lehis go to battle empty-handed. And when the Lamanites come upon them, they don't run away. They don't even flinch as the sword is coming down on them. They are described as being in the attitude of praising God. In their very death, in their murder, they're praising God. When the Lamanites realize what's happening, they're so stung by these murders, they throw down their weapons and fall to the ground with the Anti-Nephi-Lehis in the attitude of repentance. The battle comes to an end. And at the end of the day, there are more Lamanites who converted than there were Anti-Nephi-Lehis who died. And they had no doubt that the Anti-Nephi-Lehis who did die had gone to dwell with God. After reading this story, I just put down my Book of Mormon and cried. I didn't cry because of sadness, but because of joy. At that point in my life, I had recently experienced my own conversion, and reading this story was a powerful illustration of the power of Christ's redeeming grace. It was real. I experienced it, and I felt like I was experiencing it all over again reading this story. I was inspired by their lack of fear and their total dedication to love and peace and faith. It solidified my testimony of the Book of of Mormon. The power of God is with this book. I can feel truth and love and faith in every page, but most powerfully in the story of the Anti-Nephi-Lehis. Even reading it today, I can still remember it was empowering, overcoming, uplifting, inspiring, and calming all at the same time. I have the privilege of playing the part of an Anti-Nephi-Lehite named Abish in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' upcoming Book of Mormon video library. 2 seasons of the Book of Mormon video library have already been filmed, and they're working on season 3 right now, which is the season that the Anti-Nephi-Lehites' origin story is. More about that story in a later video, which is a story that Abish has a pretty cool role in. I'm super excited for this opportunity, and I hope I can make a behind the scenes video of the filming process. Until then, I will be posting videos here and there about the Anti-Nephi-Lehis in preparation for filming that story. Silly girl. Keep your eyes peeled for more videos about the Anti-Nephi-Lehis.
Thanks for watching.